hope you all are doing well and that you are playing outside when it's warm outside, that you're keeping busy, doing your work and making good choices and helping your parents at home. So this week, last week we learned about the farm, and this week we get to learn about the zoo. Have you ever been to the zoo? I have. I think my favorite zoo animal is, maybe the monkeys are my favorite. What's your favorite zoo animal? Pretty cool. All right, we're gonna read a book about zoo animals because there's lots of different zoo animals. There's monkeys, there's elephants, there's giraffes, there's rhinos, there's hippos, there's tigers and lions, all different kinds of zoo animals, and they all look pretty different, don't they? So we're going to read a book about different zoo animals. I'm going to make myself tiny here. Ready? Oop. This book is called Guess the Zoo Animals. You have to be a good guesser. You have to listen to my words and make the right guess. It says, "Welcome to the zoo." Okay. So there are 3 animals at the bottom. There's a zebra, a giraffe, and a bear. And the question is, who has stripes? Who has stripes? And stripes look like those lines. Lines can go this way or lines can go this way. Stripes. So I want you to point to the animal that you think has stripes. Does the zebra have stripes? Does the giraffe or the bear? Just one. Which animal has stripes? Point to it. If you guessed zebra, you're right. The zebra has stripes. It has a white body with black stripes. Okay, now there's the next page, and there's 3 animals at the bottom. There's a snake, a toucan, which is a bird, and a walrus. And the question is, who has a beak? A beak. Ducks have beaks. Little birds have beaks. But who has a beak on this page? Is it the snake, the toucan, or the walrus? Point to the animal that has a beak. If you pointed to the toucan, you're right. The toucan has a beak. It's like a hard part on their face that has their nose and their mouth in one. Okay, let's go to the next page. All right, here's our 3 animals. A pink flamingo, a bat, or a kangaroo. And the question is, who has a tail? Who has a tail? Dogs have tails, cats have tails, monkeys have tails, but who on this page has a tail? Does a flamingo, a bat, or a kangaroo have a tail that you can wag? Point to the animal that has a tail. If you guessed kangaroo, you're right. You can see his long tail right there. Kangaroos have really big tails, and I think they're actually pretty strong too. Okay, here's our next page. We have 3 animals, an elephant, a tiger, and a shark. And the question is, who has fins? And you can see up here that fin is coming out of the water. Who has fins? Point to the animal that has a fin. If you guessed shark, you're right. The shark has fins. Let's see, he's got one big fin right there on his back that you can see coming out of the water when he gets close to the surface. All right, now we have a flamingo, koala bear, and a lizard. And the question is, who has feathers? Who has feathers? Lots of different birds have feathers. Who on this page has feathers? Point to the animal that you think has feathers. And just because these feathers up here are gray doesn't mean that you should point to the gray animal. Feathers can be all different colors. So if you guessed the pink flamingo, you're right. That might have been a tricky one. The flamingo has feathers. The flamingo is actually a bird, even though he's really, really big. The koala bear has fur, not feathers. And the lizard has scaly skin. Okay, we have a lion, a zebra, and a cheetah or a leopard. I'm not sure which one that is. Maybe a cheetah. The question is, who has spots? Who has spots? We already did the question of who has stripes, those lines. Now we want to know who has spots, like polka dots. Point to the animal that has spots. If you guessed cheetah or leopard, you're right. This guy has lots of spots on his fur. The zebra has stripes and the lion doesn't have stripes or spots. Okay, we got this funny looking guy right here. That's called an ostrich. It's a really big bird, bigger than a flamingo. An ostrich, a spider, and a kangaroo. And the question is, who has 8 legs? 8 legs. Not 2 legs, not 3 legs. Who has 8 legs? That's a lot of legs. So I'd be counting these legs. How many legs does the ostrich have? How many legs does the spider have? And how many legs does the kangaroo have? And find who has 8. Let's see. The ostrich has 2 legs. So not 8. It's not the ostrich. The kangaroo has 2 legs. That's not 8. So it's not the kangaroo. Let's count the spider. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. The spider has 8 legs. So if you guessed spider, you're right. Okay. Now we have this cute seal, this penguin, and a gorilla. And the question is, who has whiskers? Who has whiskers coming out of their face? Those long pieces of hair coming out of their face. Whiskers. You know who else has whiskers? Cats. Cats have whiskers. So, does the seal have whiskers, the penguin, or the gorilla? Point to the animal that has whiskers coming out of their face. If you guessed seal, you're right. You can see the seal's little whiskers coming out of his face, those long pieces of hair. Whiskers. All right, now we have a polar bear. You know it's a polar bear if their fur is white. White bears are polar bears. We have a bat, and we have an alligator. And the question is, who has fur? Who has fur? Soft fur, like a dog or a cat. Who has hairy fur? Point to the animal that you think has fur. If you guessed polar bear, you're right. The polar bear has white fur. White fur. Okay, now we have a tiger, a peacock, and a camel. Those are some good zoo animals. And the question is, who has humps? Who has a big hump on their back? Makes them look kind of lumpy. Who has humps? Point to the animal that you think has a lumpy hump on their back. If you guessed camel, you're right. There's that big hump on the camel's back. The peacock does not have humps. The peacock has big, pretty feathers. And the tiger has stripes on its fur, but no humps. Okay, now we have an alligator, a panda bear, and a hippo. Hippo. Who has scales? Who has rough, scaly skin, like a lizard or a fish? Who has scales? Point to the animal that you think has scales. If you guessed alligator, you're right, an alligator has scales. Rough, scaly skin, not soft. Okay, now we have this monkey looks like an orangutan, an elephant, and a toucan. And the question is, who has a trunk? Who has a long trunk coming out of their face? Kind of like this. Who has a trunk? Point to the animal that has a trunk. If you guessed elephant, you're right. There's that long trunk. And when we do Ellie elephant, we pretend we have a trunk. We put our arm in front of our face. We go like this. There's our elephant trunk. So the orangutan just has a face, and the toucan has a beak, not a trunk. All right, now we have a lion, a fish, and a turtle. The question is, who has a shell? Who has a shell? Point to the animal that has a shell. If you guessed turtle, you are right. The turtle has a shell on its back. And when a turtle gets scared or it wants to hide or go to sleep, it pulls its head and its arms and its legs inside the shell and it hides in the shell. So that's all you see. Okay, now we have a rhinoceros or a rhino, a whale, or a giraffe. And the question is, who has horns? Who has horns? Sharp horns coming out of their face or their head. Point to the animal that has horns. If you guessed rhinoceros, you're right. You can see this rhino has two horns. One coming out of the top part of his nose and one a little bit lower on his nose, those sharp horns. The whale has a blowhole that blows out water, but no horns. And there's all of our zoo animals. And that is the end. I hope you liked our zoo story and this video. And I really miss you guys. And we'll be doing more videos soon. So keep watching, okay? Have a good day, everybody. Bye.